Russian nuclear submarines have surrounded the UK and are waiting for the order to attack. British journalists expressed confidence that Russia will not strike at NATO countries even if the Ukrainian army begins to use Western long-range missiles against military installations inside Russia. British journalists explained this by the fact that NATO has been involved in the current conflict in Ukraine since February 2022, although back in April, the North Atlantic Alliance allowed the Ukrainian army to receive help. They also noted that in 2023, Russia threatened NATO countries over the supply of Western multiple launch rocket systems, tanks and fighter jets to the armed forces of Ukraine. However, all Moscow's threats turned out to be empty words, British journalists said. According to them, the Ukrainian army's invasion of the KSK region once again confirmed the fact that all of Russia's threats and warnings were a real bluff. Well, my friends, seeing such statements by British journalists, it becomes clear that Russia's unwillingness to start World War III with nuclear Armageddon is perceived in the West as Moscow's weakness. And the scariest thing is that not only British journalists but also many high-ranking politicians and top officials of the foggy Albion argue this way. Many British politicians are really convinced that Russia's threats are a bluff, and that Moscow will never dare to attack NATO countries, including the United Kingdom. Well, it looks like Russia will have to deliver a demonstration strike at one of the NATO countries, so that the West finally understands that Moscow's threats must be taken seriously. It seems that the Kremlin itself understands this perfectly well. So, a few hours ago, it became known that on September 12, 2024, at least 3 Russian nuclear submarines of the Project 885 Yasen of the Russian Northern Fleet, armed with Zircon hypersonic missiles, left their home base at Severomorsk Naval Base and headed towards the Atlantic Ocean. According to the authoritative military expert Mikhail Kodak, these Russian nuclear submarines left their home base and headed toward the Atlantic Ocean for a reason. Especially considering the fact that this happened at the very moment when the West began to declare that it would allow Ukraine to use its long-range weapons against military installations inside Russia. The expert expressed confidence that these Russian nuclear submarines are already off the coast of Britain and are waiting for the order to attack. According to him, if the British Storm Shadow cruise missiles fly toward Russia, these submarines will destroy the facilities of the British division of the Pan-European Missile Systems Company, MBDA in Stevenage, Bristol and Bolton. Let me remind you that it is the weapon company MBDA that produces Storm Shadow cruise missiles in Britain. Citing his own sources in the Russian Defense Ministry, the expert also confirmed that Russia has a clear plan to deter NATO from retaliatory actions. According to him, immediately after the destruction of the facilities of weapon company MBDA inside the United Kingdom, Russia will launch a demonstration nuclear strike on one of the areas of the Atlantic Ocean or the North Sea near the coast of Britain. Military expert Mikhail Kodak expressed confidence that only after this, NATO and the British authorities will finally understand that it is time for them to stop escalating the situation over Ukraine. Since the next time, a nuclear strike can already be inflicted on London, Brussels and Washington. Music.